Hello everyone, this is Nowrid and welcome to I Am Social. Today we are going to discuss about how you can make your digital ads more effective, and to discuss about it we have two special guests today with us. Stay tuned. So let me introduce the two special guests with us today. On my left I have Ben from Mindvalley and we have Eileen from ADA. So how are you doing, guys?
Very good.
Very good.
Okay, I mean it's really great to have you guys here today, and I'm so excited to know more about a few tips and tricks from you guys. But before we really go into the discussion, I think it will be great for our audience if you guys tell who you are and a little bit about yourself. So we can start with Ben.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Ben. I'm currently a senior sales copywriter for Mindvalley. What is Mindvalley? We are a personal growth company. We sell personal growth programs, events around the world. So if you're interested in personal development, definitely check us out.
Okay. Hi, I'm Eileen. So I'm currently the head of creative innovation at ADA Asia. So a bit background about myself is that I started in the TV and entertainment industry, actually focusing on reality TV and digital branded content with Endemol, which is JV with Astro. Okay. So from there, I joined a very small boutique agency in KL. That time they were very small, but why I joined them is because that time it was also the time when Facebook just started, right? Okay. So I did foresee that digital and social is going to be the next big thing. So at the agency, I had the opportunity to work with many international brands and cross verticals, and mainly retail and fashion, because they were the early adopters of social media at that time. So in a small setup, you basically have to wear multiple hats. So not just I was hired as a creative designer, but then in the end, I have to do account management, I have to do project management, I have to do servicing, I have to do even content planning, and down to even community management for all the social accounts as well at times, right? So then in 2017, that was when I joined ADA as their first creative hire. So my role then was actually to work with the senior leaders to alongside them into transforming the agency, which is known as Appala then, from a media agency into a full digital business, advertising business. So we focus on analytics, data, and advertising as our services. So currently we are across 9 markets in the region, 9 offices across the region in Asia. And I actually have a new portfolio now, which is our new role, which is the head of innovation. So my current role is I will look at what are the new ideas, what are the new technologies and innovation that the agency can then adopt to help solve the traditional advertising business challenges. Yeah,
that's great. So my first question to you guys, because both of you are, having a lot of experience in your own space. So I see like nowadays on the social media marketing or digital marketing, it's very important. First thing is content, and second thing is advertisement. Because sometimes when you create a content, if you don't run the advertisement, probably you cannot understand how it's going to perform or can give you the results. So what do you think, what is the most important element when you're creating an ad or when you're creating a content? So Ben, probably you can share more from like a copywriting point of view, and probably you can share more from like a creative point of view. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. When it comes to the copywriting side of things, I always think not in terms of just the words, but in terms of what does the customer actually want. So when it comes to marketing, copywriting is just an extension of marketing. So it all goes back to who is the customer, what do they ultimately want, and how can I speak in a way that they understand and they get the product and they want to get the product. So the perspective of mine from copywriting is all depends on, is the offer even good to begin with? And then from there, write it in terms of what's in it for them. A lot of companies have a habit of writing about how awesome we are and why you should trust us. But most customers, hate to say it, they don't care about your company. They don't care about your product, they care about what your product can do for them. So that is my point of view.
So if I sum it up, it's like more like you need to know about consumer insight and also like more personalization of your content, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. What about you, Eileen?
I definitely agree with Ben. So I think one of the key things that I will look at is also look at the the brand's persona as well, right? Then identify what is your brand, what are the reasons to believe, for consumers to believe in you, what are the values and proposition that you want to bring to the market, right? How your brand or your product is relevant to them, because at the end of the day, you can craft creatives or you can craft copywriting that resonate to them, but then again, you need to have at least a value that you can bring to them and make it relevant to them personally. Yeah.
I have a question, like it's a very subjective. When we say like, you know, like you need to offer value.
Correct.
And I think we can have like 5 hours of argument that what is value. Because I see like some people said, oh, I find this content is very valuable, but to me it was like, come on. So how you identify or how you are going to define value?
How do you define value?
Yeah.
That's the $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
So first time I heard of value, I also thought the same thing. What the hell is that? Okay, so I was like, okay, so value, the way I see it is, it's the same thing as quality. I think we all heard of like Gary Vee, and he always talks about quantity, not quality. Yeah. So his perspective when it comes to that is, the more content you churn out, it is up to the audience or up to the market to decide whether is it quality to them. So value in a way is that in the eye of the beholder, but for us as marketers, our role is to more or less determine what is valuable to our prospects first, and then try to deliver it to them. And if they see there's a big enough value, then they buy. For me, it's just another form of benefit, just another way to see what benefits it is to the customer.
Okay, so one of the, through my experience, is that what I always do for brands or for clients is that I will tell them that let's create content buckets, or a wide range of content serving different purposes, right? It can be content that create awareness of a brand, or content that actually creates that is relevant to your target audience, that is relevant to your brand as well. That content that actually cares, about who your target audience is and all that, right? So then a content that is really hard sell, right? Then and content that is very promo driven and all that. So at the end of the day, you want to test this content out, and then you see that, okay, what kind of content actually drives me more values in terms of whether is it engagement that I'm looking at, that will help me to push brand advocacy, and then help me build communities. So then you have to actually leverage on the different types of content to understand your audience and your brand better. So when you start, you just have to test, create multiple kind of content, and then slowly, as you progress, then you identify what are the values that you want to bring, or what the communities think about your brand, and then you can continuously build on that and leverage on that findings.
True. Actually, I like that part, like brand advocacy. And I mean, when you're doing the brand advocacy, that's how probably we can identify the value, and that's how we can actually know what people likes and what people don't like. And like in Gary Vee, same, like when you put like 10 contents, probably out of 10, 3 people will like, and they'll find like, oh, that's interesting, and this is where I find the value.
Correct. And also, like I feel that also different target audience as well, and when it comes to different target age group, it's also very different, right? So millennials are very, it's me, it's all about me, I want a content that targets to me, Then you have the older age group where you are looking at content that, how does it relevant to me? How does it add value to me, instead of what is it about me? So then you have to identify who are your core, who is your secondary, and then who is your prospective group of audience that you want to target. Then this content will then varies.
So actually nowadays the AI is playing a vital role. Even if you take a look on Facebook ads, Google ads, it's highly driven on AI. So when I share my presentation in different places, I always focus on like creative part more, and I say like there's a 3C, what I always communicate, like your content, your copy, and your CTA is very important whenever you're running an advertisement. So can you just tell me, like, especially on 2020, and considering this, that 3C, like content, that means your visual, or can be your image, your copy and CTA, how it's making an impact in digital marketing from your point of view? Because what I feel like most of the people and most of the business are ignoring the importance of copywriting and having a good image. So what do you think, especially in 2020, is it like creative and copy is something is playing a vital role? If yes, then why?
Okay, so the way I would always explain it to business owners is this. Whenever you run an advertising campaign, just understand that the only thing your customer sees is your copy and your creative. They do not see the targeting, they do not see anything that happens behind the scenes. The only silver platter they see is the ad. So is it important? It's up for you to decide. But from our experience, it definitely is important. It is the only message they see, and it is really up to how you craft it that really determines the results.
Okay.
Yeah, and also on my side is something that I'm also driving in ADA, which is on creative automation as well.
Okay.
So what is this creative automation is like, what kind of creative actually makes sense, or how can I create large, creative at scale, and then, or even at speed of culture, right? Depending on the trending topics and all that. So the creatives itself and who I'm targeting and at what scale and at the speed of the conversation as it happens, it's very key. Is key. Right. So then it's not about one message that fits all already. It's about what is the creative that is relevant to what I'm doing right now. So it's been like for me, I probably like I would say meet life. I would say then I will probably look at something that is more career oriented or career goals and ambitions oriented, and not so much on probably education stuff or like clubbing or party scenes and things like that, right? So then how do you cater those conversations based on my behavior, based on my web actions, and then where do you see me and what kind of content I'm browsing. So which channels am I at and what kind of devices or platforms am I at. So being able to then identify me and then personalize the content, the creatives and the copy based on what I'm browsing, based on my behavioral, I think that would actually be very helpful, and it will no longer be just one message that fits all, but it's more targeted to me, and I will then be able to actually resonate to the creators or the ads or the content more than before.
And actually, if you see, like whenever we see the Facebook ads or Google ads, what we notice first? The visual, and the second we try to read the ad and try to relate it with the visual. If it's not relating, then probably we'll lose our interest. And sometimes what happens, the visual is nice, it draws my attention, so this is like the most important thing. And the second thing, if the copywriter cannot drive me to take the action, then actually there is no point of like the effort you're putting as a digital marketer. So I think it's very challenging. But I have a question to you, like whenever we run a campaign, the digital marketer like me take all the credits, but I always believe there's a lot of hard work is done by the creative team and copywriter. So how you handle that situation? So when it comes about your KPI or making sure like you have done that part, how you like make it very clear by doing fight with the digital marketers, because I always believe like in every word digital marketers take the most of the lights. So how you handle and how you identify your KPIs or your performance?
How to identify your performance?
I know like the conversion, but the conversion actually credit goes to digital marketer most of the time. Right?
Okay. So at least from a copywriter's point of view, it's always a matter of split testing with this copy versus that copy. Then the conversion jumps 30%, 50%. That's how it is. But in most cases, that's usually where it ends. I guess we as a group of people do not feel the need to get the limelight, because amongst other copywriters, we know who's the top. We know more or less who it is. We know that we cannot function without a marketer, so we still need marketers as much as possible. But in our own copy world, we more or less know who's the top, who is the one that we want to learn from, who's the one who's the best, and that kind of stuff.
So more like a silent killer.
More like we call it the silent rainmaker.
What about you, Eileen?
Well, in the agency perspective, because I manage teams, right? Like I have designers and copywriters reporting to me, so I try not to pinpoint like who has the most contribution, but because at the end of the day, I think that creative visuals and copywriting actually complements each other, right? So a good visual stops the audience from scrolling, right? Time stopping, right? But is a good copywriting that will then help to convey the message and then convert, right? So it's a balance. There's no one person who excels in either one, right? Who will do a better job. Then if you want to compare that, then it will be down to your campaign objective. Do you want it to be creative flat, like it's very beautiful in terms of art direction and visuals, or you want to be it's simple, but it's creative copy led? So it can be like a simple visuals, like by the Nando's, for example. That is very creative copywriting, and just simple typography, the Nando's brand fonts, right? You just need very impactful or creative copywriting, and you make it's brilliant, right? People share it and people talk about it, and it's so unforgettable and things like that. So it really depends. If you want to make that comparison, that really depends on your campaign objective and what is the direction that you want to take.
So it's actually more like the digital marketer, copywriter, and the creative actually complementing and supporting each other. It's really how to define like who is, I mean, the main hero in here.
And also because in ADA also we have the ops team as well. We call them, they are the operations team, where they do the setup of the they optimize the campaign, they monitor it and things like that. So if they realize that if this creative is not performing, then they will tell us, guys, based on learnings, can we try different versions, or maybe you can create multiple versions, and based on that, based on our brand learnings and all that, how do we optimize our campaigns according to the performance? Yeah, that is, I think it will be a teamwork, not a silo work.
Okay, I would like to ask about a few terms what I hear a lot, which has been using among this industry. So these three terms is like data-driven creativity, creative, dynamic content, and creative copy. So first of all is, what is data-driven creative? So I mean, I'm pretty sure people knows, but I think they will get confused. And second thing, dynamic content, which the dynamic content is actually more to you, and the third one is creative copy, more to you, because we always talk about make a creative copy. What is creative copy?
Okay, answer right now?
Creative
copy, the way I always perceive creative copy to be is more to very strong branded copy. Creative copy is, it goes very in line with the brand values or the brand tone of voice. So maybe some brands, for example, has certain keywords that they always use. Maybe at least in the F&B space, it's like succulent or fiery, like for example Nando's, those kind of words. So they are very brand centric. So that's more to creative compared to the other ways like direct response. Most of it is not very branded, but the purpose is very different. And
what is dynamic content? Because I think this is also a very common term.
I think I would take a step back. I will talk about the data-driven creative first. So I think there's two ways of how we talk about data-driven, right? It can be one type can be like a big idea that comes from by leveraging on data insights, right? What are the market insights are telling me? What are the index, or how our audience are targeted and things like that, right? So we come up with a whole big idea. That's one thing. So when it comes to the whole digital marketing context, right? Data-driven creatives is usually referred to as a programmatic creatives. So programmatic creatives usually is also dynamic as well, because then you will be link it into the whole data touch points and data signals, like identifying who are your target audience, who are your personas, and what are their behavioral data, what are their context data, what are their demographics, or even what are their purchasing behaviors and website history, web history, browsing history, and what platforms are they on, all that, right? So you look into all this, and based on that, then you target them based on whether is it your consumer journey touch points that you want to target to them, or based on their on your remarketing strategy, like how many message, or when they come land on my website and they comes to the product page, right? They land on, let's say, mineral water bottle, right? But they didn't purchase. So then do I want to remind them that they need to purchase this product? So then it really depends on what kind of data touch points. So that can be count as data-driven creatives as well.
And okay, so I think go to the next question. It's a bit more about you guys. So Ben, you're like a sales copywriter. So I think before I met you, I was never aware of like there was a sales copywriter position we have. We just only knew about copywriter. I was not aware of like sales copywriter, but that's something when I met you, I start research about you, and I feel like yes, there's a position called sales copywriter who really makes impact on the sales, and for creative, it's like same. So, Eileen, I know you're an award-winning, creative person. So my question to you guys, do you guys think really the creative and the copy can make impact on your sales or any company's sales? Do you guys really make a difference, or it's just like a position of like sales copywriter? He just write copies. It doesn't matter. It makes an impact on sales or not. Do you guys think like it can make an impact of a company if they really focus on like hiring a sales copywriter, a good creative person?
Okay, so I start first?
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely. So the answer is definitely. There's a reason why the industry exists for so long until now. Especially more than anything, the creative side of things is becoming more and more important. It's really because now there's more and more brands, there's more and more companies, and at least for millennials, brand is extremely important for them. They want to be associated with brands that they can relate to, that they, more important, is identify with. They want to be known to embody the values of that brand, right? Like Nike, Adidas, those kinds of things. So where sales copy and creative sides both touch together is the sales is always to drive sales, drive conversions. Brand is to link to the identity. So when that happens, two things happen. You get sales in the short term and also the long term, but you also get more profits because you get loyalty as a result over time. So that's the power when you merge both of them.
Right, true.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, both is equally important, but how like one of the past campaigns that we run is actually for Malaysia Airlines that actually won many awards last year actually. So what happens was we were given a brief by Malaysia Airlines, like we want to do a campaign for 11/11. We all know that it's a Singles Day. What are things that we can do, right? So then I went back and brainstormed with the team, and then my copywriter came up with, let's leverage on MH. Right, and then we named the campaign "Most Happening 11/11." Then, but they said, okay, then people will not know it's Singles Day. But how do you then leverage that? But the thing is, we don't want to highlight that it's a World Single Day or things like that. But we want, because our target audience is also like three groups of target audience, which is like people who travelers with families, solo travelers, and travelers with friends. So we don't want to tell them that is for the singles, right? So then we used our copywriter to brainstorm and all that, and she came up with a brilliant copy. It's a single time to travel, a single best time to travel. So then, a single best time to travel can be so many different contexts to the different target audience. Then from there, how we leverage and make the copy interesting. And in our 3 videos that we created, we write on that single best time to travel in 3 different behavioral based on the traveler's behavior. Like what are the interests, what are the activities, or what can you do when you travel and things like that. So I think it has to be both creatives and copywriting working together and complement each other.
And definitely it makes an impact on the sales.
Correct. And then when it comes to sales, definitely, because then we will have multiple creatives, right? We create hygiene, like a hero content, talking teasing people about these upcoming promotions, but we never really are telling them that what is this promo all about, So leading up to 11/11, we actually sort of like tease the locations, but in a very in a very creative writing kind of way. And then when it's on the 11/11, then all the copy direction will then be the change again. So it's very stilty. It will be very hard sell and say, okay, now is your time. It's a sale period. This is our promo, and then come buy. So based on that, actually, we actually do a very good job. The performance is actually, I think, we managed to garner about 2.5x. Revenue compared to the previous season, and also I think if I'm not mistaken, it's about 15x in returns of the advertising ad spend.
Really?
Yeah. So it's actually a very good.
So guys, now you know like how creative and copy can make your revenue up to like 15 times higher, right? Okay, so now I have a different question. Actually, what I have seen in Malaysia, especially from my last 4.5 years experience, as this industry is growing, the digital industry is still growing. I feel like still growing. but most of the companies, what I believe, they are not sure how the whole things works. So what I've seen, they try to hire one person to do digital marketing, write copies, creating creative, and also the social media management as well. But when I was talking with you guys, what I realized, both of you are focusing on like creating multiple contents, creating multiple copywriting, writing from different angles. So definitely it requires a lot of work. So from my point of view, it's like a big scene. If you hire one person and you pay 2,000 ringgit and you expect she will do everything for you and will make your sales high, it's kind of like impossible for me, and I can't do like that. But you guys are also industry experts and working in this industry for a long time. You work from like client side, you work for like agency side. So what's your thought on it? So I think we can start from Ben.
Okay. Because I run workshops as well, I also met a bunch of different business owners. I don't think it's a mistake or a sin. I think it's out of necessity. Maybe they're just testing things out, actually. Maybe they're just testing things. I'm not sure whether this digital marketing thing is going to work for me. So they just rather hire one person, ask them to do everything, and see the results. I think most business owners should start off that way because it doesn't make sense for them to hire a whole team. Because the direction also matters.
I agree. If you have a small business.
Yes.
But say for when you're corporate.
Corporate is a different story. Corporate is a different story.
But it's happening on corporates as well.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the small business or who have like only 5 people. That it makes definitely sense.
Yeah.
But what about like the big companies?
Okay. The big companies, you get what you pay for, more or less. Yeah. There's a reason why the best copywriters in the world make millions a year. Is because they are that dedicated to the craft. They don't even upload, they don't even copy paste pictures into their documents. They just put a placeholder, say, insert picture that looks like this here.
Right.
And the designers and the marketers handle that.
True.
So you get what you pay for. That's what I can say.
Unless you hire someone like, jack of all trades, then yes. But then if you're looking at performance in terms of doing creatives that actually converts or making an impact on your brand storytelling and all that, then you definitely can't rely on one person's brain to do all this.
I mean, do you believe the jack of all trade exists, especially for digital marketing, when it's I mean, I'm not talking about a company who have like only 5% and who are not focusing for a lot of revenue, but I mean, if you're a growing company, even not like just now started, I feel like when I started in IQI, we started growing, and I used to do SEO, digital marketing, and social media management, but after 6 months, I feel like it's too exhausting, and I'm repeating the same thing. I'm out of my ideas, I'm out of like everything. I feel like I'm like trained out. So
then it would down to the scale of work that you're focusing on. So let's say it's a very simple, every week I just want to push one ad, and that's about it. Then this jack of all trades that can execute and then push your ads out and still manage your social media, because you probably have very minimal social media content that you want to push, which is probably 2 or 3 a week. That will be manageable, right? So then if let's say you're looking at fast-moving brands, like Telco or even Malaysia Airlines or e-wallets now with Touch and Go and Grab and all that, Boost and all that. So if you want to focus on those kinds of fast-moving brands, then it's very impossible that you only have one person or a small team to do that. Because at the end of the day, you will have so many promotions, you have so many campaigns, and you have so many stakeholders and products that you want to focus on. So it's very different.
Right. Okay, let's talk about a bit of content marketing, not detail. So you are a copywriter and you're a creative person and I'm a marketer. So when you are talking about or thinking of like content marketing, what kind of content, I mean, you will suggest people to create more? Because nowadays I think most of the people are saying, oh, video is the content you should make. And that's why we see like the companies like McDonald's, KFC, they're pushing a lot of video content. So is Mindvalley. So but on the other way, I see like the good copywriter, some of the copywriter is posting the article or some copies, and they actually force you to read everything what they have written, right? If it's a good copy. So what do you think? Like, what kind of content I should create for my company to grow their business, where should I start? So say if I'm a new business and I would like to start creating content, where should I start? Should I go for video or should I go for where?
I can start. So what I usually advise my client is that, of course, you have to identify, again, your brand. You know, what is your brand story? And then who are your target audience? Where are they being seen? What are their age group? You know, like what channels are they on and things like that. So from there, you create your 3H content.
3H.
So 3H content is actually 3H is actually introduced by Google. So that's a hero, hub, and hygiene. So hero being that it's your high impact kind of content, where probably your your brand videos or your seasonal campaigns videos, Chinese New Year, Ramadan, Raya, you know, that kind of video, those Petronas kinds of video. So that is your hero campaign, right? That's your hero content. So then after that you need your hub content. Your hub content is your push content. So push content meaning that social content that you put on your websites, right? Or content that you want to push through your EDMs or your websites and things like that, where you want people to know about you. So these are your contents that you pushed and constantly talking to your core target audience as well. Your followers and you wish they will share with people who are like them and things like that. Then there is the hygiene content. So I always pitch that hygiene is equally important, you know, and in fact it should be something that every brand should actually practice in creating more, because hygiene content is your sort of like a pull content. Right? So let's say, for example, I create how-to videos or did you know kind of content online and things like that. When people search on it, they will stumble upon your video, or they'll stumble upon your blogs, they'll stumble upon your content, and that is when they get to know about your brand and your products and what your company is trying to stand for and things like that. So then it'll be more relevant to them. So then from there, when you have 3 different types of content, you will then be able to target like a different target audience, and also a more target audience that probably people you don't know that actually needs your products and relevant to your brand.
So you should create like every kind of content, like article, videos. So it depends on like your objective, right?
Correct, based on the objective. But you need to, at the start of it all, you need a proper planning. So plan what you want to do based on your budget, and based on your budget and like what kind of things that you want to kickstart. Create a timeline or a schedule and say that, okay, if let's say I would start, I would want a brand video first, right? I would not focus so much on Chinese New Year or whatever campaign, seasonal campaign, but I would need one brand storytelling, right? Then I would want my social media presence. That's when I create my hub. Then if I have my YouTube channels as well, like or my websites and my blog, then I want to have a more hygiene content where I want to make it more relevant. So you have to plan how you want to build your channels as well, and then how then this content is relevant to each of your channels.
Awesome. Okay, so yes, I agree a lot with what Eileen said. It really matters down to your budget, matters down to your budget. If you're doing internally, also depends on your budget, depends on the manpower that you have, depends on the people you have on staff. The general answer usually now is video, simply because video has become easier to make, though it's still not the easiest format to make. It does build trust faster than almost any other medium. And let's be honest, how many people have you heard spend 3 hours a night watching YouTube compared to 3 hours a night reading articles? Right? So which medium is more done for you, right, in this sense? So yes, video is very powerful, but again, depends on your budget. For example, for certain companies, maybe if video isn't the thing for them, maybe they don't have the equipment yet, they can just rely on blogging first. Also depends on the objective, as you mentioned earlier. Before anything, you start off with who is your prospect, how do they consume information, and then depending on your budget, how can you best use that budget to reach those people in the content format.
So if I compile both of your discussion, it's like, doesn't matter whatever your content you want to create, it's not an issue unless you know your target market very well, you know how they're consuming the content and from which platform they're consuming the content, right?
Yeah.
Great.
And also need the different types of content.
Yeah, and different kinds of content, right. Okay, so we're almost in, but before we finish, I would like to ask $1 million question to you guys, that if someone wants to make his campaign or a content, doesn't matter even if it's not a campaign, if it's a content, it's a video, it's an image, it's an article, what should be your 3 tips to make an amazing content or make an amazing ad?
Okay.
It can be 3 tips, it can be 2 tips. Yeah.
Okay, I'll come with 3 tips. Not the most sexy, but it works.
Okay.
First, know your prospect more than they know themselves. First.
Okay.
Number 2, make an offer they can refuse.
Okay.
Number 3, speak their language when you write the copy. That's essentially it. That's how I think about it.
More like personalization of the content.
Yes.
Okay.
So almost the same, but I think the first one I think is key important is which I'm preaching or pitching every day. It's looking at data and insights.
Okay.
Because now with the availability of data, almost everywhere, you can do global web index, look into subscribe to that and understand your audience and behaviors. That itself is very key important to understand and help you identify what are the purchasing behaviors and consumer journey, right? So from there, you understand, look at what kind of creatives, understand who are your target audience, then identify the creative direction in terms of the art direction and the copy direction, which is relevant to your market, right? And then also identify like which channels and where I want it to be seen and which is relevant to your brand. So I think all these 3 things will be very important when it comes.
So what I get, like, first of all, from Ben, I feel like knowing the target market is very important, and from you it's like data is playing a vital role to reach the target consumer, right?
But data will help you understand your target audience more. So I would say it's the same thing. It's just that, are you looking at behavioral, or are you looking at purchasing, consumer journey, and then who is your target audience as well? So I think both of our answers is actually very similar.
Yeah. So guys, thanks a lot for your time. It was really a nice conversation we had, and I feel people will really like it. But before we really wrap it up, I just want to know, like, if someone have any question or they would like to reach you, which platform they should get connect with you, or they should drop a message or their query to you.
Okay. Myself first?
Yes.
Okay.
You're always first, Ben.
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just look for Ben Sim, Senior Sales Copywriter Mindvalley. You can just find me there. Add a note when you send a request so I know that you found me through this show. I am social.
Yeah, same. You can find me through LinkedIn. I'm Eileen Khor, Head of Creative Innovation at ADA.
Thanks a lot, guys. I hope you really all enjoyed this show and you find some important, insightful thing what you can implement in your digital ads and make your digital ads more effective. So always remember, when you're running a digital ads or digital campaign or creating a content, it's the visual and the copy is playing a vital role, as right now the Facebook and Google ads highly driven by AI. So I think 3 of us have agreed that you should focus more on your creative part, and when it's creative part, it should be copy and visual. Even if you're making a YouTube video, I think you should choose a nice thumbnail to make it more attractive. So that's all from us today. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.